Hello and welcome to this edition of FiTV. I'm your host, Brad Swanson. We are coming to you on the penultimate day of the regularly scheduled session. Although we know it's going to go a little bit longer, we are lucky to have Brian Burgess of the Capitolist joining us today. Brian, welcome.
As always, I'm glad to be here.
All right, so
why do you call it the penultimate day?
Because it's the penultimate day, it's the day before the last official day, and then they're extending. But
we're not leaving anytime soon.
Do you really have to knock me down on that cool use of the word?
I just feel like that you're misleading your viewers when you say this is the penultimate day. Yeah, legally speaking, perhaps.
Regularly scheduled session.
But yeah, we're going into overtime for sure.
I'm on message, baby. I know
overtime.
Where we're going.
It's happening.
All right. Well, where do you want to start?
Just be honest with your viewers. We're going way into
once,
overtime.
We'll be honest with the viewers.
It'd be one thing that doesn't get canceled is session. Like everything else is getting canceled everywhere.
Well, they do have a mandate for a budget, so that's why they're extending.
They're legally obligated.
But apparently they're not getting reimbursed to travel. So just heard that. So that should be interesting. All right. Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk about the most important thing. That's emptying toilet paper off the shelves.
The penultimate issue.
Yes. No, that would be this number 2 issue. Penultimate means you're right before the number 1. So anyway.
See, now I feel silly.
It's all good. It's all good. Let's get into it. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, you mean penultimate isn't? I thought penultimate was second to the session. No.
No.
Okay,
no.
So coronavirus.
Moving on.
Let's talk about coronavirus.
Yes, because nobody else is.
The whole world's, today's the day they're freaking out.
Right.
I mean, like everything's getting canceled. We had an NBA basketball player be infected. Even worldwide, you've got the Formula One racer their whole entire team pulls out of the start of the race. It's all getting canceled everywhere. Everything's canceled. I don't think Christmas is canceled yet, but basically everything else at this stage is canceled. I don't know why.
Well, I mean,
we're freaking out, and we don't need to be freaking out.
Is it hype? Is it mass hysteria? Is there an agenda behind it?
I will acknowledge that coronavirus is dangerous to those who are infected with it. It is also highly contagious. There's no doubt. But if you would do the mathematic, the simple math, and I'm no doctor, and I'm not a mathematician either.
You're not a mathematician.
But I've done some computations. China. 81,000 people infected out of how many there? 1.4 billion people. The percentage is like 0.0000. If it's as bad in Florida as it was in China, we'll top out at about 1,500 people who are infected out of 21.5 million people in the state. Right. It's really not going to be widespread. Right. There's going to be people infected. I don't mean to minimize some of the illnesses. People will get sick. There will be more deaths. There's already been 2. So I don't mean to minimize that. But I do want to just put it into perspective because it's just not going to be the cataclysm that it's. I mean, it is the cataclysm because the reaction to it is so silly.
Right.
But from a health perspective, it's just not going to be as impactful as we are making it out to be, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
Of course, everybody has to legitimately encourage everyone to, be extra dutiful on washing your hands. But you're seeing the CDC releasing quarantine guidelines. If you have to quarantine somebody within your household, have that one room set aside. They're dropping new stuff every day.
Even the lawmakers this week, they shut down temporarily because someone had come into contact with someone else who had it, and they had to be tested. They literally wiped down the entire House floor a couple days ago this week. So it's not, look, we have to treat it with some seriousness, but we're literally shutting down the world right now in an attempt to short circuit this thing. Right. And I feel like it's mostly media hype. I could be wrong.
As a member of that media hype, you're calling your friends out.
I've covered it. Don't get me wrong. It's worth the clicks. I feel the temptation to cover it because you can't ignore it.
Florida's population, we have a huge elderly population. They are the most susceptible to it, and obviously it's been ranked down from a 3 to 6% fatality rate to a 1% fatality rate. So,
and yet you still have headlines saying it's 10 times more lethal than this or that.
Right.
I think part of the issue is we're now seeing, because it's America and it's now hitting the United States, we're now seeing famous people being infected with it, and so we're like, oh, I know that person, and therefore it's much more prevalent than it really is.
Right.
And I did use the word prevalent more accurately than I used penultimate.
Yes, you absolutely did. All right, so where does Florida go? I mean, we're a tourism economy. Empty airplanes are being posted on Twitter, and it's a huge factor for the economy. It's their number one discussion point of how much do we fund it for? How does Florida?
Well, I'll tell you this: I'm not being paid to say this, but I'm going to Disney World next week for spring break.
All right.
Me and my entire family.
All right.
Very
good.
I will hit every hand washing dispenser I can find.
Of course.
I'm not changing plans.
Yeah.
And I may be one of the first ones to get sick with it. I'll visit you next week.
I will. It'll almost be you know, I'll be curious to see how many people are there, because you know it'll be interesting to see who's heeding that call with theme parks and these natural spring break type draws.
One of the things I'm seeing is that Disney hasn't seen a slowdown yet, which is interesting to me.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, people made their plans, and they're risking it.
They are going to do that.
All right. So before we go,
Yeah.
let's talk about an actual issue that you're
a real
covering.
issue?
Let's hit EVerify.
I think it's a big win for Republicans. I think that it's not the win that the conservative right really wanted.
Right.
But I think it's a win in a lot of ways, just because it gives these Republican lawmakers and the governor a chance to go out on the campaign trail and say, look, we got this done. And it does have some teeth in it for employers, especially if they are taking public dollars, state dollars. If they're taking those, they have to participate in the EVerify program. So it does have some teeth, and it is something they can brag about. And it's a check mark for Ron DeSantis. So on the campaign trail, as we go into the campaign season here,
You can expect to see that on mailers and
absolutely
both
got it done.
Pro and against on all sides.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Never underestimate how the mail guys will figure out a way to make the piece
on both
read
sides,
two ways.
baby. That's
for
where
sure.
it's at.
Well, as always, thanks for coming on
pleasure.
FiTV. Your takes are amazing. We love the way the Capitolist, has a very pithy take on everything. You've got an amazing new reporter in Genesis, and you guys are just growing by the
Sanchez
days.
from Campus Reform, she's doing a great job for us, and she's doing great.
It's amazing. Well, glad you guys are doing good, and we look forward to having you back on FiTV.
Thank you. I'd shake your hand, but
Want to. Right, no, we're not going to do that. It's all the time we have for this episode of FiTV. Make sure you hit us up on our social media, and for now, thanks for tuning in.